If you are a victim of circumstance, you will always be a victim of circumstance. This is a lesson worth understanding. Successful people, defined by your own fucking definition, find your group that's successful, right? Everybody's got their own version of it. But I promise you this, successful people didn't have different fucking problems. They had different solutions. Oof. I'm gonna say this one more time so this hits. Successful people didn't have different problems. They had different solutions. Meaning they were confronted with the same challenges you were. They chose something different. They chose a different course of action, a different behavior, which is why you want to go get advice from them. Because they clearly did something you have not quite learned or integrated yet. One of the operating assumptions I had to come back around on that was really hard for me, two that caused me a lot of pain in my early life, I assumed everybody wanted truth first. That's not true. That was hard for me. Truth is not a priority for lots of humanity. Because if truth conflicts with your identity, your story about self or other, your decisions, your lifestyle, truth may be terribly inconvenient. So truth isn't huge for a lot of people. And then once I understood that, I didn't judge it. I just knew oh, okay, truth isn't your thing. And I learned not to offer what they weren't asking for. So this became a thing. I grew up, I'm a third generation pastor's kid, and I've read the Bible more than probably 98% of Christians. And I got super irritated because I heard things spoken from the pulpit that were absolute bullshit. And when I would ask questions, the pastor couldn't even answer my question. And then I'd see the fucking people listen and reiterate what they're saying. You'll find most Christians don't know what they know because of an actual relationship with God. They know it because it was regurgitated to them somewhere along the way. So religion is usually one of the first places I poke fun at, but it's not just religion by any stretch. It's also political parties. Well, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. I toe the party line, which means you value the party more than truth. So I don't avoid those people. It just informs me how to navigate them. So truth isn't a thing for everyone. For the Christians in the room, you don't need a fucking pastor or a priest. The Bible in the Old Testament and the New Testament both comply. It says, call to me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things you don't know. You don't need somebody to teach you. Go find it for yourself. 2 John in the New Testament, same thing. The Holy Spirit will teach you in all things, as he did everyone who wrote those books. Oh, that ruffles feathers. But I want my book in pastor. Fine. Then you're also getting their filters on it. So truth was one. The other operating assumption that caused me a lot of pain is I assumed everyone wanted to grow. Why wouldn't you want to fucking grow? What's the point of being here if we're not growing? Well, I don't know if I want to grow. I'd rather just have a sandwich. Do I have any videos? That was hard for me. It's kind of like truth. It's like, well, without truth, it's really hard to grow. But once I understood it, it helped me be more effective with humanity. In some ways, as odd as it may sound, I'm still learning how to be human. But we all have operating assumptions. And part of the work is figuring out what they are. And just because you have an operating assumption doesn't even necessarily mean it's wrong, but if it's unconscious, you wouldn't be consciously competent, right? You may get in there and realize this operating assumption is accurate. Great, leave it alone. What would be an indication we need to look at our operating assumptions? Anywhere in our life where we continue to get a negative or positive unintended consequence, we may want to look at our operating assumption in that area. So how do we know we're not doing that? We make excuses. We tell story of the other. We explain that it's circumstance that got us here. Here's the issue. If you are a victim of circumstance, you will always be a victim of circumstance. This is a lesson worth understanding. Successful people, defined by your own fucking definition, find your group that's successful, right? Everybody's got their own version of it. But I promise you this, successful people didn't have different fucking problems. They had different solutions. Oof. I'm gonna say this one more time so this hits. Successful people didn't have different problems. They had different solutions. Meaning they were confronted with the same challenges you were. They chose something different. They chose a different course of action, a different behavior, which is why you want to go get advice from them. Because they clearly did something you have not quite learned or integrated yet. For some of you, you may have been learning this and doing it, you're just on the path. So I don't mean this as a personal thing, just an understanding of result and consequence. This is the work, which is why proximity is power. Being around people who have achieved a certain level of success and being able to see how they make decisions and how they look at the world has a dramatic impact on you. You're able to look at things differently. If everybody in your world continues to make the same kind of decisions and has the same kind of life, good luck thinking you're going to be something different. You're not. If you enjoyed this video on wealth and would like to get more content like it, check it out. Here's my playlist.